All right, welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us. You are listening to The Frangie Show. Unfortunately, Frank Frangie is still under the weather. I hope he is getting rested and recovered, and we can't wait to see him back here. But no Frank today, but JJ LaSelva is here. I am Hays Carlyon, and we've got a lot of fun stuff to get to. Chris Harry is going to join us in our next segment to talk Florida basketball. They've got a big game tonight at home against Missouri, 9 o'clock start. At 5 o'clock, we'll be joined by John Osher, senior writer for Jaguars.com. Get his thoughts on Robert Saleh, the latest candidate to be interviewed. The club announced that earlier today. So we'll sort of go over Saleh's credentials and get John's thoughts not only on the search, but also Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Trevor Lawrence, stuff, everything that encompassing the Jaguars offseason. And then at 5:25, Greg McGarry's going to join us, the Gator Bowl executive director. That'll be a lot of fun. We'll get his thoughts on how the Gator Bowl went. Obviously, Ole Miss played great in a win over Duke. And we'll talk about college football, get Greg's thoughts on how the playoff has gone, his thoughts on the national title game, and maybe some storylines to peek at for next season. So a lot to get to on the Frangie Show. Thank you for being with us. JJ, how are you doing?
I'm great.
Good. So I saw this today. Did you see the Dan Graziano ESPN story about where
I did. I saw the jet. I guess he guesses where all the head coaches end up.
Correct. And this is what I'll say about Dan. I really respect Dan. So obviously I'm really good friends with D-Rock. So when we're both at a road game, D-Rock and I hang out. We'll eat our pregame meal together in the media room, and we'll hang out. And Dan's great about, they both work for ESPN. And he's come over before, and he'll hang out with us because he wants to catch up with D-Rock. And so I've gotten a chance to kind of be around Dan a few times just through his friendship with D-Rock and my friendship with D-Rock. And I will say he is an incredibly thorough reporter, and he covers all 32 equally. I think that he's well-sourced. And so when I saw his predictions today, I got a little nervous because Dan Graziano has the Jacksonville Jaguars hiring Joe Brady, which I don't necessarily think is terrible. But what really irked me is he's got the Raiders hiring Ben Johnson. If that happens, it will be the biggest folly of Shad Khan's tenure as owner. How could you possibly let the Las Vegas Raiders, and again, this is just one man's report or guess, but he's about as good as it gets out there. I mean, he's not just throwing stuff against a wall. And if this really plays out this way, if Ben Johnson goes to the Raiders with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell, they have no idea who their quarterback is. But he gets to pick his GM. The Raiders, fired Antonio Pierce. Then a couple days later, fired GM Tom Telesco. They wanted alignment for the new head coach. We obviously know that did not happen here. Shad Khan elected to retain Trent Baalke. Why, I have no idea. But that is what happened. And if this occurs, if the Jaguars, with Trevor Lawrence and just a better roster, I mean, the Raiders have Brock Bowers, and he's fantastic, but they don't have much else. I mean, it is a rebuild in Las Vegas. I don't know how you can look your fans in the face if you hire anybody else. If you end up hiring a young, offensive-minded head coach, and it's not Ben Johnson, and if he stays in Detroit, that's one thing. He may be very happy in Detroit. Obviously, barring some freak amount of injuries, they're going to be very good again next year. They're a very young roster. A lot of their best players offensively haven't even hit their peak of their career yet in terms of Amon-Ra and Gibbs and Laporta. So I would understand it if he went back to Detroit because there's going to be 6 to 8 more jobs that open up next year. But if he takes the Raiders job, that is just pathetic. I mean, that is just pathetic by the Jaguars. So I'm trying to remain calm about this because it is just speculation. But knowing the analysts that produced this, it does give me some pause. And look, Joe Brady may end up being great, and Ben Johnson may end up being a total bust. But there's way more evidence to suggest that Ben Johnson is ready than Joe Brady. And what did you think when you saw it?
I didn't see that the Raiders had him. I just looked at the Jags and saw it. But I would be shocked by that as well, just because also they're not one of the top teams like the Titans who can draft a quarterback. So you're not even going to take Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, which I know most people don't think they're going to be like the be-all, end-all. But they are, going to be the 2 top draft picks. And so they're not even going to get that. They're behind the Jags in the draft. So you're not going to get a quarterback out of the draft right away. The free agency quarterbacks out there would be like, I don't know, Sam Darnold. And so you're obviously not going to be able to turn things around right away without a quarterback. So that would mean he's playing the long game and realizing, hey, I could kind of build my own thing here and I have sort of a long leash. But I find it hard to believe that he would go there, honestly. Even with Balky here, I would still think he would choose this job over that, just based on the quarterback. Because, listen, if you don't win in 3 years, you're out anywhere, and who's going to be their quarterback this year? I don't know. Maybe they draft one next year, and so you'll have a really young quarterback. I would find it hard to believe that he'd pick the Raiders over them. And also it shows that Shad, if he hires Brady, would still be willing to take a guy who doesn't have any head coaching experience, who's an offensive-minded guy. Basically, the hire that you want is Ben Johnson if you're going to go that way. So, yeah, I would be shocked and appalled if that happens. Yeah. It makes sense, I guess, for him to go to Chicago if you believe in Caleb, but that one's a head-scratcher to me. I didn't see that coming. You
mentioned Darnold. What'd you think of him last night? Because,
terrible.
Boy, he now becomes a big conundrum for the Vikings.
So it's 10-3. The Vikings get this miracle, pushed into the kicker, roughing the kicker punter call. So they get the ball back, and he immediately throws a pick. And it's like, oh my God, you had all the momentum right there. And then just every single time after that, they maybe moved the ball a little bit. They'll get a first down or two, and then he'll walk into a sack. Every single drive, he walked into a terrible sack that basically ended all their momentum on every single drive. I still think he's better than McCarthy. I didn't even like J.J. McCarthy in college. Mm-hmm. So maybe you sign him to a smaller deal now. Maybe you get lucky that he played so bad that you don't have to pay him too much. But yeah, I'd still keep him around, but I wouldn't give him I think the franchise tag is $40 million next year.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So you're not going to do that. I don't know. Maybe they made their decision a little bit easier, just have McCarthy play. But just because I was never a McCarthy guy, I'd still try to bring Darnold back maybe for a year or two on a small contract. But it looks like that's not going to happen.
Yeah, because there's just too much demand.
So exactly. Teams like Vegas.
Right, exactly. So that's the thing. I think that there will be a team that looks past Darnold's poor conclusion.
And they see 13 wins.
Yeah.
And
I thought Troy Aikman made a really good point last night about Darnold moving in the pocket. He was basically running, from spot to spot. And Aikman was like, you want to,
step
slide.
Up. Yeah,
that was Brady's. He mentioned Tom Brady, and he was exquisite at that. Moving in the pocket is not taking 4 steps at full speed. It is a nuanced movement. And Darnold last night, it was incredible, the amount of sacks he was taking, and he was running into them.
And it's 2 weeks in a row. The Lions game, after everybody hyped up, by the way, the Lions-Vikings game to be the game of the season. This is one of the best regular season football games we've ever seen in the NFL. 2 13-win teams. It was bad. And then this week shows, listen, last night's performance by the Vikings just shows what we all know, but we all forget about immediately every single year. The NFL regular season means next to nothing, man. We see it with the Steelers. You win just enough to get to the playoffs. Who cares? It's when you get there. And when you get there, you have to have an elite quarterback, and you have to have an elite coach to win the whole thing. And it just shows, McVay, he can do it. You know, they have a great quarterback there. It makes you think like, okay, well, maybe the Eagles, they can't do it. They don't have a You have to have both, man, to win a Super Bowl. And just Darnold, a guy like Darnold is never going to win you a Super Bowl or probably even get you there.
Yeah, I agree.
He might win 13 games in the regular season, but that's the regular season. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day. And no one's even going to remember that season from the Vikings. Everyone's going to remember what just happened last night.
By the way, and we were talking to Max about this, who's a big Eagles fan, before he did the update. I mean,
he's worried.
The Rams, yeah, he should be. The Rams might go to Philly and win. I mean,
what's the point spread?
It's 6. I mean, so
wow.
I thought that's high. Now, obviously, it's in Philly. You know, the weather could be a factor, but Sean McVay was. I mean, he had some things going on last night that I thought the touchdown pass to Kyren Williams, where basically Stafford rolls out. They were at like the 8-yard line, rolls out. Kyren Williams basically just kind of looks like he's going to block it first, and then he releases late, wide open for a touchdown. I mean, that sort of was my point all year with Doug Peterson and Press Taylor. Like, if you watch the league, you see things like that. Like, now McVay's near the top of the list, or arguably the top of the list, but you just don't see that kind of imagination with the Jaguars' offensive scheme.
No.
So, but yeah, I mean, that was just one example. But, I mean, Puka Nacua is such a great player. And, I mean, how they've been able to find
everybody with no draft picks for like 20 years. Yeah. They didn't have a draft pick. Apparently, this is from Kurt Warner. He said, Kyren told us in an interview after the game that he wasn't supposed to do that. He just leaked out because it was open, and Stafford found him.
Yeah, and wide open.
Yeah. But, like, high IQ plays, man.
Right, and well coached.
Yes.
You know, that's the thing. I am looking forward to Gators basketball tonight. I've really fallen in love with this team. I mean, in terms of
it's hard to not if you're a fan of a top 5 team.
Yeah,
you got to be all in.
It's literally been probably like 10 years since I've been this excited about a Florida athletic squad, and because I just don't see a weakness. Now that could change, and they could get some injuries and things like that, but. I mean, we've talked about it endlessly, about how talented the backcourt is, how deep the bench is, their rebounding prowess. But they play Missouri tonight at 9. And, again, we'll talk to Chris Harry coming up in our next segment from FloridaGators.com. But really excited about this game tonight. It's a 9 o'clock start. And Missouri's 13-3. They're 2-1 in the league. They kind of played a soft non-conference, but they did beat Kansas. So they have proven
that's enough to get your attention right there.
Absolutely. So that should be a really fun game to watch, and I'm excited to see who steps up for Florida. And again, it's another mental challenge. They routed Tennessee, took care of business at Arkansas. You know, again, they're now ranked in the top 5. They're absolutely in the running for a number 1 seed. And how do they handle it? Because this isn't, you know, it's a late start. It's not a big rival, but we'll see. But so far, I mean, they've played with such tremendous maturity that I expect them to win. They're 10.5-point favorites, but I am really excited to watch this club. And you know, it'll be interesting to hear from Chris about what he thinks about the development of this team. So, and
he's live at Shoot Around.
Yes,
so he'll be joining us from the court.
Absolutely, can't wait. That is coming up. You're listening to the Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show
from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
If you need an insurance agent, I'll recommend the best guy in town, State Farm agent Craig Dewhurst. Call him at 940-9740. Really good guy, really good agent. Life insurance, homeowners, automotive, you name it, he'll handle it for you. Tell him what you need. He'll assess your whole situation. What kind of coverage do you need? How much coverage? What should your deductible be? What do you make, and how does it fit your cost and your rates? You will love dealing with Craig. What a nice guy he is, and how he'll help you get the right answers. The best in the business. Craig Dewhurst from State Farm, 940-9740.
Wonder what Rick Ballou would be doing if he wasn't on 1010XL?
So you had a fight with a game show host on national TV. I don't consider that entertainment.
Rick Ballou.
This is not hockey.
Weeknights on 1010XL.
What's happening, fellas? It's your boy E to the T here, and it's a brand new year, which means a brand new you, especially in the bedroom. So if you're ready to make 2025 the year to level up where it counts, let me make it a little easier for you. Get yourself some Blue Chew. They've got a chewable tablet that has the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, Levitra, and Staxin. That means you're getting top-tier performance, my boy, without leaving the house. Blue Chew comes right to your front door in a discreet package, so your neighbors won't even know what's going on. But you will. No doctor's offices and no pharmacy run. Just licensed medical providers helping you find the right prescription. And guess what? They're made right here in the USA. Oh, and did I mention it's free? Yeah, you heard me. Your first month is free. So what you waiting for? Visit BlueChew.com and get a consultation. And start your year off with confidence to keep things interesting in that bedroom. Get that Blue Chew at BlueChew.com, baby. Let's make this year unforgettable.
This is Hays Carlyon from my friend Holt at Harold & Harold. There doesn't seem to be enough time in the day to get everything done. Then you get injured in an accident and you don't know what you're going to do. Let Harold & Harold make it easy for you. Easy on becoming a client. You can just text or email if you want. Easy on finding a doctor and getting through the process. Hopefully you won't need them, but if you're ever injured, call Harold & Harold and make it easy on yourself. Call them at 904-251-1111. That's 251-1111.
Tax season is here, and your refund can go further at Big Chief Tire. Frank Frangie here. Put the extra cash to work by investing in your vehicle, whether it's overdue maintenance, brake repairs, or new tires. Their skilled technicians will help you get the most out of every dollar. With 5 Jacksonville locations, fair prices, and trusted service, Big Chief Tire has everything you need to hit the road with confidence. Visit WeKeepJacksRollin.com or call 904-932-0950 today. Big Chief Tire keeps Jacks rolling.
New year, new beginnings, and a new roof. Start 2025 with peace of mind and take advantage of Universal Roof and Contracting's limited time offer. 15% off all roof repairs and replacements. From leaks to full replacements, call 855-ROOF-HELP or visit universalroof.com to schedule your free roof inspection today. This special New Year deal ends January 31st. Universal Roof and Contracting, protecting your home and building your trust. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
Hey, Hicken here with a message from Zero Res. Guess what? We love rugs. We'll treat your fine Oriental rugs with tender, loving care they deserve. How about Gerard, the Zero Res rug cleaning manager, one of the few certified master rug cleaners in the state of Florida? If you want your rugs cleaned with tender, loving care, call Zero Res. Right now, have one rug washed and we'll wash a second rug free. That's right. Buy one, the second one on me. Zero Res. Spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res. Go inside the huddle with our QB, David Garrard.
Hey, I know if you give me time, baby, we can do whatever we want.
And get into the head of an NFL signal caller. Mondays from 10 to noon on Jaguars Today. Brought to you by WaterboyJacks.com on 1010XL.
You know, many plumbers won't quote prices over the phone and instead charge a service fee for an in-home estimate. Of course, because they know once they're in your home, you're probably not going to send them away. But Roland Reach Plumbing is different. Roland will give you a price quote over the phone. And there's never a trip charge or service fee for an estimate. So if you've got a leak and can't wait a week and don't like paying unnecessary fees, call on Roland Reach Plumbing at plumbingjacksonville.com.
It's a new year at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and St. Augustine. Cash in this month with thrilling promotions and tournaments, including daily high hands and table games clockwork cash out, giving away $300 cash every 15 minutes and selected weekends at all 3 Best Bet locations. Catch all the excitement in 2025. See all the details and learn the games at bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
You waited forever for your new fence. Then strangers show up. Subcontractors rushing the job. Sent by the company you trusted. Frustrating, right? Superior Fence and Rail promises better. They're professionally trained builders. Deliver quality you can trust. No subcontractors, no shortcuts. Just the superior craftsmanship your home deserves.
When you're on the fence, about the fence, superiorfenceandrail.com.
Jacksonville. When AEW returns home, it is the biggest party in all of professional wrestling.
Daily's Place, the home of AEW.
And on Saturday, January 25th, Collision returns live. It's a new year and a whole now. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
All right, welcome back to the Frangie Show. JJ LaSilva is here. I am Hays Carlyon. Frank Frangie, unfortunately, under the weather, but hopefully he will be back with us as soon as he is fully recovered. But we're pleased to be joined with Chris Harry. Does an outstanding job covering Florida athletics, FloridaGators.com. And, boy, a big game tonight with an outstanding basketball team in that 5th-ranked Florida Gators. Chris, how are you doing?
All right, Hayes. What's up? How's it going down there, up there?
I'm just really enjoying watching this team. You were kind enough to join us before the South Florida opener here in Jacksonville, and you sort of had a pretty good idea that this team could be special. Has it even exceeded kind of what you thought it might be to this point?
Yeah, I think what I was telling people during the summer or the weeks of the summer leading into the fall practice, and I'm quite sure I probably said it while I was sitting at that table there in the arena before that season opener, is I thought this had a chance to be Florida's best team in 10 years. Now, given the strength of the Southeastern Conference, I don't know what that was going to look like because, the Gators won 24 games last year. Can they win 24 games this year? I mean, going into the season, I didn't know if I would have said that. They got 15 already. They went undefeated in the non-conference. It wasn't a terribly difficult non-conference, I will say that, but they didn't get challenged a whole lot in the non-conference. And what's really been impressive about these guys, Hayes, is they go about their business in a professional manner. There's no up and down really with them. Sure, you got some times where you're dealing with some adversity. Maybe you're not one guy's not making or not shooting as well as he usually does, or what have you. But they're always ready to play. If the other team scores the first 7 points, not because they're flat. It's basketball. But it's a veteran team. It's different from a lot of other teams because they returned 6 players from last year, and a lot of places that just doesn't happen because everyone's looking to go somewhere else and get their bag or get more playing time. But Todd Golden has a pulse on this basketball team. He knows how to build a team. He has shown that. He's a protege of Bruce Pearl, who some may say is one of the ultimate program builders. And Todd's vision when he got here is kind of coming to fruition, and it's manifested itself right now with a 15-1 team, and there's a very good Missouri team knocking on the door tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought Florida showed a lot of maturity going to Arkansas, which again, like as you wrote, over 19,000, fans in Bud Walton, and right. They get the monster win over number 1 Tennessee. You go on the road to play a team desperate for an SEC win. John Calipari, a Hall of Fame coach, and really, to be honest, it was fairly drama-free. I mean, Boogie Flan hits the 3-pointer to make it a 7-point game, and then Alex Condon buries a 3. It just seems like this team always is able to find an answer. By the way, I thought your story on Condon was sensational. But it just seems like they are able to always have an answer. If the guards don't shoot well, they rebound. And it strikes me as a team that just doesn't have weaknesses.
Yeah, in that Arkansas game, if you recall, they were down 11-2 right out of the box. The place was jumping. And they just kind of got in the huddle and said, all right, come on now. Let's just settle down and start doing what we do. And guess what happened? They settled down and they started doing what they do. And then there was a little bit of drama. You mentioned that 7-point margin at one time. It got to 3, and it was very, very loud in there. Timeout, Florida. I think it was about 6 minutes left to go, maybe inside 5. They come out. Walter Clayton hits a 3-pointer. I mean, it was only the second one of the game. And then I believe just after that, Alex Condon had 5 straight points, including a run-out dunk. All of a sudden, that 3-point lead is 10. Mm-hmm. So, to your point, if things aren't really working perimeter-wise, they have plenty of options inside. But at the same time, that just doesn't happen very often. Maybe one guy isn't making shots, but what Todd Golden did at University of San Francisco, he wanted to play with 2 bigs and 3 guards that could score, and the ball is going through the bigs. He wants skilled bigs who can pass, who are screen, who can rim roll. He didn't have that his first year, especially after Colin Castleton got hurt. He had nothing. He had a closer vision to it last year. He has a much closer vision to how he wants to play this year, and you're seeing the product of it because, like you mentioned, Alex Condon was recruited by 3 schools out of Australia. He's fantastic. You have Ruben Chiniello, who they pulled in from Washington State. I remember at that Jacksonville, at the game up in Jacksonville against USF, he didn't play very well in that game. I did a story about him afterwards. He didn't just seem like himself. But at the same time, he only played 13 minutes a game last year at Washington State. So he had a little bit of a feeling out process also. What does he do against Tennessee? It's 15 rebounds. I think he had 2 points and 15 rebounds or whatever it was. But he doesn't care if he's scoring. He's getting 15 rebounds. You got Thomas Hawk off the bench. You got Sam Alexis, who played very well in Arkansas off the bench when they needed him to because everyone was in foul trouble in the front court. And then, we're sitting here talking. We haven't even mentioned Elijah Martin yet, who is what he's been able to do in terms of a contagious kind of thing with the defense, especially on the perimeter. Guy won 60 games the last 2 years at Florida Atlantic. He knows what good basketball looks like, and he's helping the Gators become the best team they can be.
And I was impressed with their demeanor. You brought it up. It's a great stat. Florida had not had a player foul out all season, and then they have 3 foul out against Arkansas, but they didn't seem like it. They allowed it to bother them. And to your point, Alexis steps up 6.7 boards in 13 minutes, and Houck is a game high plus 13 in 21 minutes. It just seems like they've got a very unflappable mindset.
Yeah, and Tommy is like that. I think Tommy had 2 fouls, and then he got 3 fouls in 3 minutes. And he's just kind of looking there like, what? And they sit him down, and he's over there, okay, whatever. But, then he comes back in. He's not going to change his aggression. He's just got to play smarter, and that's what they talked about. And Sam Alexis hadn't played very well in the previous 2 SEC games. And it's more like I think they kind of looked him in the eye and said, "All right, well, you have no choice now. You need to help us." And what does he do? He plays 13 minutes. He gets 6.7 rebounds. And this is all this a road win at Arkansas on a night where Walter Clayton, I think he had 12, but it's kind of a quiet 12. In fact, I think over the last 6 games in all but the Kentucky game, where he scored 33 in Rupp Arena and the team lost, in the 5 games bracketing that game, I think he's averaging 10 points a game. And he's not shooting the ball particularly well, but he's not pouting about it. He may not be happy about it. He's not pouting about it because guess what? They're trying to win games. And when Elijah Martin came here on his official visit, transfer portal visit last year, Will Richard and Walter Clayton were his hosts. And they took him and they kind of talked about stuff like, what do we do? Because these are 3 alpha males. They're different alpha males, but they're definitely alpha males. And they just decided they want to win. And it sounds so simple, Hays, but when you got guys that are really that's their conviction, and they're willing to do whatever it takes, and that means sacrificing some maybe something a personal agenda if you have a little bit, maybe pie in the sky kind of things maybe you'd like to do. That's what makes great teams. And right now they're playing like one of the best teams in the country.
Without a doubt, in that player-driven leadership. I thought another example, this was in the Tennessee game, and the game was out of reach at this point, but Florida gets called for a foul. Todd didn't agree with it. He kind of starts pacing away from the officials, but obviously agitated. And Elijah Martin kind of puts his hand on him and says, "Hey, it's fine. We're fine here." I thought that reminded me of Brandon Seiler, talking to Urban Meyer after Ohio State ran the kickoff back in the national title game and saying, "Look, I didn't want him to score either, but if we can't score more than 7 points, we don't deserve to be here. So calm down." That's to me, and again, I'm not nearly as close to it as you are, but watching from the TV screen, that jumped out to me as an example of what you want your club to look like.
Well, you got to understand the relationship he has with he can pull that off because that's just how they are with the coaches. And it all begins at the top. It's Todd. And, when at his press conference at the O'Connell Center introducing him, he said, I'm not that different than these guys. I'm not that much older than them. He's 20 years older than them. He goes, we listen to the same music. I have a lot of the same interests as them, starting with basketball, of course. But he was a very competitive player. He was a walk-on player who became a starter on a St. Mary's team that went to 2 NCAA tournaments. So, he has some pedigree himself. And, he when in practice, sometimes these guys get after it a lot. The first year he was here, they didn't practice really hard at scrimmage a whole lot because he was worried about guys getting hurt or something like that. He didn't have a very deep team that year. Now they go after it every day when they got full blown practices and stuff, and he stays on them during that stuff. And he does have real talk with these guys, and sometimes that's what it takes. But at the same time, these players have real talk with each other. Elijah Martin can go to a guy, hey man, you got to do better than that. And he's not going up anybody's backside, but they're keeping it real, and they got that kind of relationship. And I tell you what, it's one thing. It makes it easier to accept that kind of relationship when you're killing everybody by 20 points. So that's kind of what they had going. That's kind of what they have going for them. But now when they're getting into some of these closer games that deal with some adversity, you're on the road, that kind of thing, that's when this stuff has to go to another level, different circumstances. And Florida's still showing that they can fight through that and still be the same kind of team they were in non-conference season.
Chris Harry, kind enough to join us from FloridaGators.com. Again, read his stuff, the pregame stuff, the instant reaction. It's fantastic. He'll get you ready for all of Florida's games. So tonight, Missouri comes in, 9 o'clock tip, and it's not a big rival game, but I think this is another test. All you're hearing about is how you're top 5 now. You're one of the best teams in the country, and Missouri has really rebounded well. You pointed it out in your preview for this, but this is a team that has a win over Kansas, and it has really proven that they could potentially be the league's biggest bounce-back candidate. What stands out to you, Chris, about Missouri, and what challenges will they present tonight for the Gators?
Well, just understand, they went 0-18 last year. They're only second team ever to go winless in an 18-game SEC season.
That's amazing.
Dennis Gates was a guy who the Gators interviewed for the job that Todd Golden got. So there's a reason for that. The guy's a very good coach. He's a Leonard Hamilton. He comes from the Leonard Hamilton tree. He was a loyal lieutenant for him at Florida State for, I want to say, 7, 8, 9 years, maybe even longer than that. I'm not 100% sure. Did some really good things when he went to Cleveland State and flipped that team before he got the Missouri job. But they're sneaky good on offense. I asked Todd, I go, they sneaky good on offense? He goes, no, they're really good on offense. And if you look at some of the things they shoot, they're number 2 in the country in terms of their ratio of field goals made and free throws made. So they're going to drive the ball. They're going to get to the line. They got some veteran guy. Tamar Bates is a guard. He scored 38 against the Gators in Columbia last year in a loss. They got Mark Mitchell, who's a transfer from Duke, who's their leading scorer, really good player. So, these guys, like I said, they beat Kansas when Kansas was number 1. So they have, some quad run, a serious quad 1 trophy on their mantle right now, and they would love to get another one coming in here tonight. So I believe Mizzou, they have Florida's attention, and they need to, because in this league, there's just no nights you can take off.
Without a doubt. And you brought up something interesting about Florida in terms of things that they can improve. The free throw shooting hasn't been to the level that they might like.
It kind of just screamed at you at the Kentucky game. I think they missed 13. They got a good whistle at Kentucky, and I think they definitely ended up missing 13 free throws up there, including 8 by Walter and Elijah, and that's unheard of from those guys. Walter Clayton is one of the best free throw shooters in America. So yeah, that has to improve. It was much better in non-conference than it's been in conference, and in games, in close games, free throws are going to make or break you. So It's not that they don't work on them. I love on Twitter when people go, "Do they ever practice free throws?" Sometimes I keep people back and go, "No, they never practice."
Right.
Free throws.
Yeah.
They never. Right. It's hard to replicate the pressure of making them in a one possession game, inside 5 minutes. So you got to live with what you got. Just keep working on them and try to get better.
I'm going to ask you a question, and I apologize to Gator fans for bringing something up that, but this program has had such ridiculously tough luck with injuries, and they've been remarkably healthy so far this season, and hopefully that continues. But if something were to happen, can Han Logden come back at any point, or is he definitely going to redshirt even if something were to happen to one of their bigs?
Yeah, you're not the first one who's asked me this. He's redshirting. I mean, I don't think he'd be ready to play. He is 100% cleared. He takes part in their as of, I think, right before or right after Christmas, he started going full go in scrimmages. So, I mean, you're talking, they have Micah Handlockton and 7'9", Ollie running on the scout team. But no, there would be no, that would not happen. Part of the deal with Micah when he got hurt, we want you to have no pressure on you next year. We just want that leg to get better. And honestly, I don't think he's in cardiovascular shape to come in. Could he come in and play 5 minutes? Sure, but why waste a year on that?
Right.
And that wasn't the plan to begin with. And honestly, that was also part of the sales pitch to Sam Alexis and Ruben Chinyeo when they decided to come here, that they knew the 7-1 defensive, outstanding offensive rebound center wasn't going to play next year. So, let's just step back and those were the parameters that were set, and those aren't going anywhere.
Do you, final one, Chris, and I can't thank you enough for your time. Do you get a sense that Todd Golden could be the Gators coach here for a decade plus? Has he become fond of Gainesville and the university and the program?
Well, I mean, just knowing what I know him, I know he does like it here, and I know he has the highest of goals, believe me. And he, like I said, he is a Bruce Pearl. He's on the Bruce Pearl tree. Bruce Pearl is the ultimate program builder. He wants a program like Bruce Pearl has done at Auburn. And Auburn right now is year in and year out in the championship conversations. I don't know what his, you talk about 10 years. I mean, he's 39 years old. For all I know, I mean, he has the makings of a potential, coach at the next level for all I know. But all I know right now is he's very appreciative of what's going on here and likes it and loves the support they're getting from these fans that are coming out. This game is not sold out, but 9 o'clock tip is a tough sell in Gainesville, Florida. But I mean, you sold out the Stetson game on December 29th, for goodness sakes, and the three home games after this one tonight are all sold out. So the fans are liking the product, and Todd Golden likes it here very much, and I don't see him having any plans to going anywhere anytime soon.
Great stuff. Chris Harry, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it, and have thoroughly enjoyed your coverage, and can't wait to see what this team can end up being. But thank you so much for taking so much time to speak with us today. We really appreciate it, Chris.
All right, Hayes, check back a few weeks from now. We'll do it again.
We'll do it. I'll look forward to it.
Take care.
Yeah, take care.
Man.
Chris Harry does a great job. Again, FloridaGators.com. Chris has been there for a long time, does an outstanding job. And we'll see. Big game tonight for the Gators. 9 o'clock start at home against Missouri. When we come back, we will get it to the NFL. You were listening to The Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
It's holiday season, and Nimnick Buick GMC is here for you. Whether you're making memories on the road or continuing family traditions right here in Jacksonville, you can always count on us because there's nobody but Nimnick. Now look, if you're looking for a better used car shopping experience, you'll find it at Nimnick Buick GMC, Jacksonville's only Car Bravo certified dealership. And with Car Bravo at Nimnick, you'll get transparent pricing, the best value for your trade, and peace of mind. Now is the time to shop certified used vehicles and buy with confidence. What kind of models are you getting? Honda, Toyota, Kia, Mazda, Ford. That's right, all makes, all models. And trading in your old vehicle, don't forget who gives you top dollar for your trade. Nobody but Nimnick. So shop online at nimnickbuickgmc.com or visit their showroom off Phillips Highway. It's holiday season, and there's never a better time to buy from Nimnick. Who takes care of you? Nobody but Nimnick.
This is Josh Woolsey with Woolsey Morecambe. Woolsey Morecambe is your MVP in the legal game. Our team of skilled attorneys tackle personal injury cases with compassion and expertise. With fumbles like a car or truck accident, we're here to seek the compensation you deserve. Right here in Jacksonville, we've successfully won over $100 million and earned a championship-worthy record. When it's game time, you want a team that plays to win. Contact Woolsey Morecambe at 1-800-WOOLSEY. Offices, Jacksonville.
Coke Florida congratulates the Jacksonville Jaguars on a great 2024 season. As the local Coca-Cola bottler celebrating 10 years of business, Coke Florida is proud to be the Jags' official beverage partner. From the season kickoff to the final touchdown, Coke Florida's 5,000 associates and passionate fans have cheered on the Jags all season long. Coke Florida and the Jags tackle game day with great taste.
When the heat's on high or the chill is too much, who you gonna call? Cool Cats Heating and Cooling is locally owned and operated with a perfect touch. You'll keep your home just right, day or night. AC to heating, don't take a beating. Call the coolest cats in town. With a 5-star Google rating, they're your neighbors, ready to help. So get your paw of approval from Cool Cats Heating and Cooling, the coolest cats in town. CoolCatsJacks.com.
When it comes to towing products, your safety is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
Don't go through another year with all that high-interest debt. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out now. Hey, it's Prosser here, and Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Get cash in your pocket fast. No appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Loan Pronto's AI-driven tech gets you approved and funded in as little as one day. One client got $150,000 approved in under 24 hours, paid off all their credit cards, 2 cars, and personal loans, saving over $1,500 per month. With low fixed rates and lightning fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate debt, improve your home, take control of your finances. Imagine being credit card debt-free by this time next week. You can. Don't wait. Call Loan Pronto now, 904-999-1508, or visit loanpronto.com. Get your free quote now with no hard credit pull at 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Cooking with Prisco.
These things are wonderful. You're going to love it. Have a rollie.
Catch CBS Sports senior NFL writer Pete Prisco every Friday afternoon on The Frangie Show. Brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles on 1010XL.
Do you have clicking, popping, swelling, or pain in your knee or shoulder? This can be due to arthritic changes in your joints. Over time, you have wear and tear of your cartilage. I am Dr. George Bari, and here at Bari Orthopedics, we have numerous ways to treat your arthritis, such as regenerative medicine, including PRP and joint replacements with CT guidance for accuracy down to the millimeter. If you are experiencing any of these symptoms, call us for an appointment today, or log on to BariOrthopedics.com.
Find out more at BariOrthopedics.com. That's BAHRI Orthopedics.com.
Hey, it's Matt Hays. It's playoff time, and it's now or never. Don't miss out on the last few weeks of football action with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. The app is really simple to use. Pick 2 or more players across any sport, pick more or less on their projection, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Prize Picks now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account for this season. Join Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, available to play in more than 40-plus states, including California and Texas. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code JAX, J-A-X, to get $50 instantly when you play 5. That's code JAX on Prize Picks, $50 instantly when you play 5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game.
Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
I'm Holt Harrell. I was talking to someone the other day, and they were shocked that some lawyers get more from a case than their own client. After paying bills and costs, if we are supposed to get more than a client, we won't. That's the Harrell and Harrell promise. When we say that we treat our clients like family, we mean it. If you've been in an accident, call us today. 251-1111. Harrell and Harrell. Offices, Jacksonville.
The best golfing weather is upon us, and Hidden Hills Golf Club invites you to enjoy your next round of golf with us. Our welcoming atmosphere and love for golf keep our friends coming back. Check us out at hiddenhillsgc.com. You'll be glad you did.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
It's a Nimnick Tuesday on The Frangie Show. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941.
All right, welcome back. John Osher is going to join us at the top of the hour. We're going to talk some Jaguars football with John. That'll be a lot of fun. Again, this Dan Graziano but speculation today about the coaching carousel and who's going to end up in which job. We spent a few minutes at the top of the program talking about his prediction here in Jacksonville with Dan believing that Joe Brady will be the next Jaguars coach. But I do want to go into the other squads and Dan's predictions for this. Again, this is on ESPN.com. He's got Flores going to the Bears. You know, I think that would be a disappointment for Chicago. I mean,
doesn't everybody want an offensive guy?
I think so.
I feel like we hear a lot about, hey, Glenn and Flores, and you want a guy who's going to come and change the culture. Why can't an offensive guy be a culture changer? It's always the defensive mind or the defensive coordinator that they're like, oh, he'll come in and he's a no-nonsense guy. And why can't you have it both? Like, why can't the offensive guy also be like that? But, yeah, Flores, they had a great season on defense, but he's already been a head coach. He got along with the quarterback, not at all. It became like a huge talking point down in Miami to where he had to get fired because he was such a jerk to the quarterback. We know that the quarterback in Chicago is very emotional and young, and I can't see that working out at all. Obviously, he's probably learned his lesson, and he can't be the same guy he was in Miami, but man, you got to get an offensive guy to work with your young quarterback, I would think.
This is another one that I thought was really interesting and I think would be ill-received by the fan base. By the way, I love that Dan Graziano, again, this is on ESPN.com. It's his predictions for how these jobs get filled. And I'll give Dan credit for this. You don't have to read like 7 paragraphs.
No, 2 paragraphs.
Yeah, to get to his choice, which I love. It's very concise. I mean, he explains it. But he starts with every team. He basically puts former coach and then my prediction for the next coach, which I like. The New York Jets, Arthur Smith.
Wow.
I mean, what? If that happens, I mean, that'd be a disaster for the Jets. I mean,
I was like, where is he even at right now?
Okay, he's the Steelers OC.
Okay, I didn't even realize.
Yeah, and I mean, I that one would be that'd be hard to explain, I think. Now, some of these I think are.
Does he have any type of relationship with Rodgers or something? Or
I don't think so. And again, is Rodgers even going to be there?
Is he going to be there? And if he is there, it'll be for 1 year.
Yeah, I mean, Arthur Smith was obviously with the Titans, but yeah, I that one surprised me.
You haven't heard his name at all in any of these openings.
Now, a couple of these are, I would say, A-plus hires. Now, we mentioned that Graziano has the Raiders getting Ben Johnson. And if that happens, it will be like the biggest coup the Raiders have pulled off in a quarter century. I mean, you got to give Tom Brady credit.
Since they got Gruden from Tampa, probably.
Yeah, I mean, and I would agree. And so that would be obviously an A-plus hire for the Raiders. Again, I can't be clear about this. If Ben Johnson ends up coaching the Raiders and the Jaguars end up with Joe Brady or Liam Cohen, it is a disaster of a search for the Jaguars. It's disaster. But we'll see. Again, this is just Dan Graziano kind of connecting some dots. But I will say he's incredibly well sourced and a very respected journalist. Does an outstanding job. I think Aaron Glenn to the Saints that's an A+ hire, because the Saints aren't even close. Like, the Saints are going to have to totally tear it down and rebuild it. So I think they need more of a defensive guy and more of a culture guy. And I like Aaron Glenn a lot. So he needs a long contract, because they're not going to be good for 2 or 3 years in New Orleans. But that's one that I think would be an outstanding hire. And then, unfortunately for the Dallas Cowboys, he does not have Deion Sanders.
Yeah, he has Kellen Moore.
He has Kellen Moore. How about that, though, that report that Jerry Jones is talking to Deion
So
about
does that mean he would have to bring Shador in? Because Deion's whole thing was, hey, if I go to the NFL, well, first of all, I never believe anything Deion says, but he's been saying, if I go to the NFL as a head coach, it would only be because Shador.
I don't think you could navigate.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to jump the whole way up the draft, and then you're also bringing a coach in. That seems very tough to do.
And what do you do with Dak?
He's under contract. He's good. He's better than Shador is right now in the league, I would assume. So, yeah, that's just – but it's Jerry, and I also think he's not a great coach. I mean, like, I think he could potentially be a great college coach because he can recruit. But on the field, I've never watched any Colorado game and been like, wow, this guy's really got it figured out. Like, I think he's very average. I don't think he's ready for the NFL. And this whole, like, him being the dad of the locker room thing that he does, that's not going to work in the NFL. And, like, these players, I don't know. He talks down to the players. I don't think that's going to work in the NFL. I think that would be a terrible decision. But could it happen? I mean, I really don't put anything past the Cowboys and past Jerry Jones. But I would lean more likely Kellen Moore than Deion Sanders.
I totally agree. And the Cowboys reporters today were making a collective point that Jerry Jones isn't going to pay buyouts. You know, he doesn't pay. He doesn't fire guys with years left on their contract. He didn't do it with Garrett. Obviously, he didn't do it with McCarthy. And I
wonder how much the buyout is in Colorado.
I don't know, but to hear them, if it's $1, he's not doing it, and certainly not doing the $10 million.
It's $8
for Belichick. The other thing too with Jerry Jones, he's 82 years old. I mean,
don't you want to win right now?
That's the thing. I mean, how many of these do you have left? So I don't know. I still think it'll end up being Kellen Moore, but that's why I never dismissed Belichick there,
right?
Because if you're 82 years old, I mean,
Belichick's also old. Get him in there. You guys both need to win right now.
Right. I mean,
Deion can take a lot of time, and if you're going to have Deion, you're going to have, I guess, a rookie quarterback, and that's going to take time. And like I said, is Shador supposed to be that much better than Dak is? Like, is Shador's ceiling higher than what Dak is right now?
I don't even think they could trade Dak. I mean, his number is colossal in terms of the cap penalty that you would take on by trading.
It just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
For him to be with his son, it definitely doesn't make sense.
Yeah. But anyway, so we'll see. But I would agree. I think Graziano is going to be right on
Kellen Moore. I could see that.
I think Kellen Moore, he'll be right. I think on Glenn to the Saints, he'll be right. If he's right on Ben Johnson to the Raiders.
Oof. He really called one out of left field.
The day that breaks, get ready for me to have the biggest meltdown on these airwaves that I have ever had. If Ben Johnson goes to the Raiders because they were smart enough to fire their general manager and have a clean sweep, that's the only
and the
reason.
Jags are hiring like Mike McCarthy the next day or Pete Carroll or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, and some of those, I mean, I actually wouldn't mind some of that, but if it ends up being basically, here's the way I look at it. If you hired Joe Brady or Liam Cohen, but didn't give Ben Johnson what he wants, What are you doing?
Yeah.
You ended up hiring the same exact guy, but
the lesser version.
Right, but the guys that are way more unproven. Again, the Liam Cohen fans that are out there, I know, by the way, Graziano does write in this, the candidates that are being mentioned. Liam Cohen is only being mentioned here, which is a concern.
Yes.
But the Cohen fans, will say, well, he's got the same amount of experience as Sean McVay. That's not even remotely true. Sean McVay was a tight ends coach for 3 years for Washington, and he was an offensive coordinator for 3 years. So, yes, he got hired.
Is this Cohen's first year as an OC?
It's his first year in Tampa. He was an OC for the Rams, but only for 1 year. So he's never had to do it twice. Anyway,
Right.
Well, we're a few minutes away. John Osher going to join us to talk all sorts of Jaguars football. You're listening to The Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's the ride home with The Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
From the preseason to the playoffs and every day in between.
Each man individually preparing himself to be the best he could possibly be. Better than he's ever been. Because that's what it's going to take.
At 1010XL, the season never ends. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Hi, folks. I'm Frank Frangie. If you have a sweet tooth like me, the sweetest desserts in town come from Spoonful Bakery. Spoonful is an online bakery. They deliver boxes of assorted desserts right to your home or office. They're so good, and they make for great gifts for friends or clients. And if you want custom orders, wedding cakes or birthday cakes, or catered desserts for an event, they are the best. Log on to spoonful-bakery.com or call them at 904-515-4984. That's Spoonful Bakery for the sweetest desserts in town.
I'm Holt Harrell. I was talking to someone the other day, and they were shocked that some lawyers get more from a case than their own client. After paying bills and costs, if we are supposed to get more than a client, we won't. That's the Harold and Harold promise. When we say that we treat our clients like family, we mean it. If you've been in an accident, call us today. 251-1111. Harold and Harold. Offices, Jacksonville.
This is Tony Baselli, Pro Football Hall of Famer. I was known for protecting our quarterback. These days, I'm extending that protection to a different arena, your home. I have partnered with Heritage Roofing of North Florida, your premier local roofers with over 25 years of experience. Heritage is your go-to roofer for hurricane preparation with same-day inspections and estimates. They also work with all insurance companies. Let Heritage Roofing of North Florida safeguard your home and family. Visit heritagenfl.com for your free estimate today.
State license CCC 1335410. Put your best foot forward and score 60 minutes of soccer insight on the Sporting Jack Soccer Hour. Join Cole Pepper, Mauricio Ruiz, and Becky Burley for Soccer Talk.
Tuesday nights at 6
on 1010 a.m.
These are interesting economic times. That's why it's so important to have someone you can count on. That's ITP Partners. Jacksonville folks taking care of our Jacksonville money. Experience? You best believe you want to give your hard-earned money to folks you trust. Jeff Hartman, Chris Bryan, Dan Abel, Reed Wingate, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reagan Wright have the expertise and knowledge to help clients in their financial lives, focusing on investment management, financial planning, and risk management. ITP Partners. Financial partners for life. Securities offered through American Portfolios Financial Services, Inc. Member FINRA SIPC.
This is Hays Carlyon here to help you break free from the chains of pest infestation. The talk of this town is Kingfish Pest Control. By now, many of your neighbors have already joined the Kingfish family, leaving their homes and lawns protected and pest-free. Now it's your turn. Call Kingfish Pest Control and say goodbye to termites, ants, mosquitoes, and other annoying pests. Trust me, you'll get exceptional service and understand why your neighbors and I use Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jaguars.
After consulting with several orthopedic specialists about my constant knee pain, I chose Southeast Orthopedic Specialist and Dr. Chris Swanson to handle my surgery. Their professionalism let me know this team was the one for me. The surgery was very successful, and if I ever have a future need, I'll continue to trust Southeast Orthopedic Specialists to take care of me.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Everybody
Everybody, Mike Dempsey with a question here. Was your goal to lose weight this new year? If so, are you already down 18 pounds? That's a serious question because I dropped 18 pounds in my first 3 weeks alone with Awaken 180 weight loss. That's how fast the weight can fall off when you choose the solution for weight loss. Each week, you look at the scale and the number goes down and down. Every morning you wake up, you feel better and better. For me, I love that instant feedback of knowing that Awaken 180 was working for me on a daily basis, experiencing those results. And given how easy Awaken 180 was, there was no way I wouldn't reach my goal. And I did. 25 pounds total thanks to Awaken 180, and I've kept the weight off since. The only weight loss program I know that puts their money where their mouth is. They're so confident in your success, they offer free support for life. A one-time investment in yourself for a lifetime of benefits online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
Hey, this is Bert Cannon with the First Coast YMCA. Youth sports at the Y can help nurture your future athlete's potential and experience the joy of being a kid. At the Y, we're providing a safe, clean, and fun environment with basketball, soccer, volleyball, gymnastics, elite skills training, and more. Best of all, participation in Legacy Youth Sports League is free with your family membership. Visit fcymca.org to learn all about youth sports at the Y.
Home is where your story begins. And at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to make it the healthiest, most comfortable place it could be. Whether it's fresh, clean air, dependable plumbing, or reliable power, we take care of it all. From routine maintenance to state-of-the-art solutions, Donovan keeps your home running smoothly. Because at Donovan, we believe your home isn't just where you live, it's where your health meets comfort. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing at 904-270-COOL or visit us online. Let's make your home healthier, safer, and better together.
The big game is almost here, and Sonny's Barbecue wants you to win a barbecue feast. Text Sonny's to the text line brought to you by Lifetime Flooring at 641-1010 for your chance to win. 641-1010.
I'm Max Fink, here with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. The 5th-ranked Florida Gators are back in the O-Dome tonight, hoping to feast on the 13-3 Missouri Tigers. As the Gators keep winning and climbing the rankings, the target on their back grows as everyone wants to be the one to spoil a great team season. Coach Todd Golden, whose team began to experience more success as last year went on, talked about what he's been telling his guys to keep them humble as they are now ranked so high, getting every team's best showing.
In real time, we're going from being the hunters to the hunted. Both of our road conference games, we've gone against sellout crowds and, really packed venues. I think people are starting to appreciate what this team's been able to do. We always talk about it all the time. It's just very hard to be good. The better you get, the harder it is. So we're fighting against human nature. We're fighting against handling success and making sure that we approach practices and our prep the same way we did before we received these type of rankings.
It's 54 degrees at 5:03. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
All right, welcome back to the Frangie Show. JJ LaSelva is here. I am Hays Carlyon. Frank Frangie under the weather, but hopefully will be back with us soon. We are pleased to be joined with John Osher, senior writer for Jaguars.com. John, how you doing?
That sounds like some quote marks needed. Under the weather.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think he might be onto something there.
Yeah, I'll put some quote marks in a text to him.
Yeah.
Under the weather. How about that?
I like it. John, as we now get into, I guess, probably midway through the second week of the search, anything that stand out to you? It's a good group of candidates, and obviously Robert Saleh was in today. The club announced that, but what's been your overall view of the search to this point?
I think what I've learned in the last 5-6 years, sort of following these, and not all with the Jags, but in the past, I'm just looking for some perspective here, right? there was a time 7 or 8 years ago where you sort of knew information fast because searches weren't quite as thorough before you sort of had there's the virtual round and then the in-person round. And things moved so fast before the league sort of slowed it down. So I think now it's harder to get a real feel for the way teams are thinking because that initial net is so broad. And that answer is not meant to avoid the question, except that I don't know that we know a whole lot because the net is so broad. There's 4 defensive guys or 5. Like it's very well split. There's experience in Spagnuolo and Monken, but there's also the youth in Ben Johnson. So and many other candidates. So I don't have a great feel for it. I think logic tells you that Ben Johnson is a hot candidate, and I'd be surprised if they don't want him. I personally sort of like Aaron Glenn. What I see of him, I don't know Aaron. I like what I've heard around the building from people who've been around Monken. But I'd be lying if I said I had a gut feeling either way. It sort of feels like what we were all saying about Doug and Trent at the end. I think anybody who tells you they have a gut probably doesn't know what they're talking about. But I could be wrong. That's just sort of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, that's well said. What attributes about Glenn do you like? Because I'm a fan of his as well.
Well, I'll laugh by saying this. I like the fact that he couldn't age-wise be my son, right?
Right.
And so many of the young guys, and I say that to get to this. I do sort of like the idea of somebody who's been there, seen that, and it has 20 years of experience around the league to sort of know what's important and what's not. That I like, but I think that's the generational guy in me. I think that's the old man in me that likes that. That's clearly not a prerequisite. Guys have had success. Ben Johnson being under 40, Sean McVay under 40. Many guys have made that work, and there's nothing wrong with it. If you're asking me what I like about it, that's sort of what I like about the idea of having somebody who's been around. That can certainly be supplemented by having a few coaches on the staff who've been there, who know what to expect, who can counsel. But that's what I sort of like about him. Plus the fact that clearly he can relate to players. I think he has that element of, players respect it because he's been around it. It seems from afar like he can relay his message to players, which I think is the biggest thing a head coach does. Do guys believe in him? It feels to me like the Lions defensive players believe in Aaron Glenn. To me, that's number one on head coach. Do players believe in your message?
Yeah, that's a great point. And in terms of these guys with a connection, I guess Robert Saleh would jump to the list in terms of having worked here for several years. What's your opinion of Robert Saleh when he was here as linebackers coach?
I would be misrepresenting it if I told you I had a huge relationship with him. I knew him to pass him in the hallway, to speak to him a little bit, but I did not. There's been coaches that I knew very well. There's other coaches that I haven't known that well. Saleh probably falls into the latter. I know people who knew him better than I did when he was in the building. Great respect for him, leader of men. Players get his message. I like the fact that he's been through it. Having been through it 4 years, you often see a guy who, once they come into the next thing, it's human nature. You would hope that they've learned from it. He certainly would not be overwhelmed by that feeling that you hear from a lot of coaches of, wow, my first day on the job as a head coach, I realized that there's a bunch of stuff with this job that ain't about head coaching, right? So I like that with the second guy through, and he probably would have been, if I had to make a list, I'd say Johnson, Glenn, and Saleh would sort of be the guys that I'm sort of comfortable with. But that doesn't mean I don't like Liam Cohen. It just means that's sort of the list that I've probably done the most research on and would be most comfortable with if you told me tomorrow they were the guys.
Does it give you any pause in terms of Liam Cohen that it seems like he's only really being considered here?
That part wouldn't give me pause. What I would really want to research and grind through is the one-year wonder thing. And that's not a fair thing. I'm not saying that's what Liam Cohen is, but for lack of a better way to describe it, one successful year in Tampa, sort of, a limited resume on top of that. It's not a concern. It would be something where, when I was with the Colts, Bill Polian always used to talk about, there's things that sort of flag out that you want to make sure you dig down on. You want to make sure you're right. That would be one thing. The fact that it was 1 year in Tampa would be more than the fact that I wouldn't care if I was doing the search what other people thought. I don't know how many people, when Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh got hired, I don't know that they were top on a lot of lists, but they were the right guy for the right job.
Yeah, without a doubt. Do you get a sense that this is still probably a couple weeks away from being finalized?
Well, you would think so because they're getting through the first round this weekend. And, sure, there's a possibility. Do you love Liam Cohen? And so you interview him tomorrow. You finish your first round, he's available. Could that be a thing where it comes out Tuesday? Yeah. Shad has seemed to lean towards thoroughness lately, which would make me lean toward second round of interviews, make sure you're dotting I's and crossing T's, so to speak. So I would think we're a couple of weeks away. But one thing, when discussing this, the thing I always put at the forefront of any conversation is this. When you're dealing with NFL owners and coaching searches, precedent that I just mentioned doesn't always mean anything. Because if they figure out they've got their guy, just because we think that they might have done something or have some sort of formula, these guys act how they want to act in these situations once they follow the rules.
John Osher, senior writer for Jaguars.com, kind enough to join us. John, in terms of looking at some issues away from the search, what were some of your takeaways from Trevor Lawrence's season-ending press conference last week?
Oh, I think I'm trying to remember. It feels a long way away. I woke up on Monday saying, wow, it's only been 8 days since the regular season.
Right.
It feels like forever, right?
Yeah.
I think, to me, the fact that, when he was asked about the creativity thing on offense, I liked the fact that Trevor said, you know what, we got to run better, because that sort of jogged with what I believed about the creativity thing, which is, no, they weren't very creative or unpredictable on offense. But I think Trevor sort of knew, hey, the reason we're not doing this very well is, A, we got to be better in that direction. But sort of taking that another step, I like the fact that he said, look, I'm paraphrasing, but the team's got to be better. The players have to be better. It's not going to be a matter of a coach coming in and magically fixing everything. To me, that lined up with what Evan had said on Monday, Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk. Those guys, to me, feel like the spine of the locker room. I thought it was significant that all of them said, look, the coach is great, but there's a lot of things that we as players did to cause this as well. I think that bodes well for how, the more guys who feel that way, the better the outlook for the future of this team.
You've covered some great receivers in this league, Jimmy Smith, Keenan McCardell, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, and I'm sure others. As we get a chance to decompress to your point, what did Brian Thomas Jr. do this season, in your estimation, in terms of announcing himself as a potential superstar in this league?
Well, what didn't he do, I think, is the better question. I'll couch this by saying this. When I covered the other guys, meaning Reggie, Jimmy Smith, Keenan, and Marvin, and those are the best guys I've covered, it was a different era. where it was harder for a rookie wide receiver. Reggie Wayne was hurt the year I covered him as a rookie. I didn't really cover the other guys as rookies. Jimmy Smith in 95 was probably close to a rookie. Wasn't playing as much, so didn't have the opportunity. I don't know what more he could have done. I usually believe that it takes rookie wide receivers a while to get going. Didn't take him a while to get going. He has the ability to be as good as any of them. Now, Marvin Harrison is a high bar. Jimmy Smith, to me, is an equally high bar. I would put Jimmy on the same level as Marvin and Reggie. He's got to continue to get better off of this. Everything I've heard about Brian Thomas Jr. is that he'll do that. He wants it. He's going to work hard. He's not – if he doesn't live up to those guys, it won't be because he did it the wrong way. And that's probably as important a thing as I can say about him, because I think the sky's the limit. I think he's going to be a multi-year all-pro guy, redefine the position in Jacksonville guy. I love the kid. So probably not a great answer. You can probably hear the enthusiasm. I think he's the guy that this team's been waiting for at that position.
Yeah, I think that's really well said. He was sensational. And particularly, it really, I thought, stood out that in the last 5 games, his production was second to only Jamar Chase, and he's doing it with the backup quarterback. And in every game, the defense knows he's the guy. I mean, there's no Christian Kirk, there's no Evan Ingram, and it didn't matter.
Yeah, you would like, I don't necessarily care about his numbers in the future, meaning I got a question from somebody the other day, hey, do you think he can break Jimmy's record next year? Yeah, he can. I mean, the 16-36, of course he can. I can tell you this. When I covered Indy, Marvin Harrison's best, quote, statistical year was 2002, when I think he caught 149 passes or something. It was off the chart. That wasn't ideal because they went to him too much. You would rather have an offense where where Brian Thomas Jr. doesn't need to catch 1,600 yards worth of balls. Whatever his numbers are, the special plays, the influencing of defenses, mattering in the offense is what matters to me, and he's going to matter a great deal. The numbers are going to come, but the most important thing that I heard all year was when Press Taylor was talking about Brian Thomas Jr. and his ability to pick up the offense and to take coaching quickly. That, to me, is going to put him off the chart. He's only going to get better.
Last one for you, John. I really appreciate your time. Do you get a sense, obviously we don't know who the head coach is going to be, but do you get a sense that Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram will return as Jaguars next year? Would you like to see that?
Oh, I'd love to see it. I don't want to avoid the question. I don't think we know until the head coach is installed, because I don't think those meetings in terms of, hey, a Christian Kirk salary cap number is big. Evan Ingram's salary cap number isn't as big, but it's lingering there as something of, we've got to decide what our direction is, how much these guys matter to what we're doing. They're 2 of my favorite players to cover that I've ever been around. They're in my top 15, 20. Unfortunately, Hayes, I've been doing this so long that I need a big list. But I'd love to see them back. I think they have value being back. But I think the head coach and they have to figure out what it's going to look like and how important they are in terms of against their cap number. It's a business. So I don't know the answers to those yet. I think there's a chance, but I think they both also know that, with the cap numbers this high, decisions are going to have to be made. I'm cautiously hopeful that they'll both be back, because I love being around them.
Yeah, I totally agree. I hope they're back as well. Fantastic. John, thank you so much for taking some time to speak with us. Really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you soon when we have a new coach.
Fantastic, Hayes. Anytime, buddy.
All right. Thanks so much. John Osher does a fantastic job. Again, Jaguars.com, senior writer, and he cranks out a fantastic amount of content on the site and has such a amazing years of experience covering this league. So we always appreciate a chance to catch up with John Osher. When we come back on the Frangie Show, We're going to get it to college football. Greg McGarrity's going to join us, talk about the Gator Bowl, Ole Miss's big win, and also some thoughts about the college football playoff, the national championship game, and we'll peek ahead to next season. You're listening to 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Frank Frangie here. These days, it's hard to know which companies to trust. But when it comes to banking, I trust South State Bank. South State truly values its customers, and they work hard to create meaningful, lasting relationships. I love going into my local branch. I see the same smiling faces I've seen for years. South State is the largest bank headquartered in Florida, so they're able to offer all the banking services you need. You can trust South State Bank. Banking forward. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Your radio highlight reel.
Caught for the touchdown.
1010XL, home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Why buy from Hodges Mazda at the Avenues? Because they strive to ensure a satisfying and comfortable car buying experience. And now they're giving back. Lauren Brooks here. Hodges Mazda wants to say thank you to all educators, first responders, and healthcare providers by offering a complimentary oil change and car wash. Simply call them today or schedule online at HodgesMazda.com. This is part of the Hodges Mazda difference. Come experience for yourself. HodgesMazda.com. Free oil change not to exceed $79.99. Excludes diesel vehicles. Expires January 31st, 2025. See dealer for complete details.
Denny Thompson here. If you haven't heard, Dan and Jeff are going to be live from the brand new showroom at Tyson Sound and Security this Friday. You have to check out Tyson's showroom home theater with surround sound and comfy theater chairs. You can transform your living room into a cinematic experience. Did I mention Friday morning you can enter to win a $2,500 prize giveaway? Bring the theater experience home. Tyson Sound and Security, now at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming Island.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm that has experience and capabilities to handle any legal issue a business is confronted with. Learn more about what they can do for you at jimersonfirm.com.
Bull riding. The perfect fusion of strength, skill, and pure willpower. Professional bull riders aren't just athletes. They're daredevils with cowboy souls. Come experience the true modern West, where 8 seconds of glory will create a lifetime of memories. It's the Michelob Ultra PBR Jacksonville at ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena, February 22nd and 23rd. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com and PBR.com. Hold on tight. The ride of your life is about to begin.
AC replacement? If your AC unit is ready to go kaput, then it's time to call Florida Home AC. With over $3,000 in tax credits waiting for you on select systems, take advantage of it. Call 777-4300. Get Florida Home AC to cool you off.
Bowl season is like a college football snow globe. And with 1010XL's Ultimate Bowl Challenge, you can decorate your life with $1,000 in jewelry from Beard's Diamonds if you win.
Let's do this.
Yeah. Get your picks in at 1010XL.com.
Hey, sports fans, it's Hays Carlyon from MyBookie. It's win now or go home. The NFL playoffs are the ticket to the biggest game of the year, and all roads lead to New Orleans. The NCAA playoffs will set the stage, but this is your chance to get in on every high-stakes moment along the way. Your road to New Orleans starts now with MyBookie. MyBookie is the ultimate destination for bettors who want more. Whether you're backing the underdogs or riding with the favorites, every drive, every touchdown, every moment is an opportunity to win big. Kick off your 2025 right with risk-free Thursdays. Place a bet. If it doesn't hit, MyBookie has your back. Dive into the Bet Boost tab to supercharge your picks and build that bankroll before the big game. The action doesn't stop. MyBookie's online casino keeps the excitement going 24/7. If you haven't joined yet, now's the time. Use promo code 1010XL on your first deposit, and MyBookie will hook you up with an instant bonus because you deserve to start strong.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
Pacifico is brewed for those who let go of the things that don't matter and hold on to the ones that do. That's living life anchors up.
Pacifico, found in Baja, imported by surfers. Ask for a Pacifico when you're ready to live life anchors up.
Pacifico is a crisp golden lager, brewed for those who know. It's what's behind a label that matters.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Want to grow your hair back?
IHRS, right here in Jacksonville, is the only hair transplant clinic in the country that offers multi-unit hair grafting, FUE NeoGraft hair transplants, and the 45-minute effective PRP treatments.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
Thank you, IHRS.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Schedule a free evaluation and find out how to grow your hair back and keep the hair you have. Call 904-777-IHRS. Take the first step to restoring your hair today. Visit hairforme.com.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
IHRS has been restoring hair for men and women for over 30 years.
Call now for a free in-person or virtual evaluation. 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Or visit hair4me.com.
I'm Renee Harrell. At Harrell & Harrell, we understand when you've been in an accident, there's a lot to handle. You've lost pay, and now the medical bills are piling up. When there isn't much insurance, some attorneys will pay your bills, take their fee, leaving you with even less than them. Not at Harrell & Harrell. We'll work hard to reduce your medical bills, and we promise our fee will never be more than you take home. Call us today, 904-251-1111. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Offices, Jacksonville.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Time now for the College Football Insider, brought to you by the law firm of Woolsey Morecambe on The Frangie Show.
All right, welcome back to The Frangie Show. Frank Frangie's sick today, but hopefully will be back with us tomorrow. Hopefully he is feeling better. JJ LaSelva is here. I am Hays Carlyon, and we are pleased to be joined with Greg McGarity, Gator Bowl Executive Director. Greg, thanks so much for taking some time to join us today.
My pleasure, Hays.
Well, I tell you what, that was some performance by Ole Miss. Just we obviously Alabama and South Carolina, talk a lot about how upset they were and really didn't perform well. But what a fantastic performance by the Rebels in the Gator Bowl.
Hays, it was amazing that they still had their starters, and Jackson Dart was playing well into the fourth quarter. So I think Coach Kiffin wanted to make a point against a team that had lost in overtime to SMU. I think he made mention of that after the game. But certainly they kept the pedal on the metal the whole day and just showed how strong they were against kind of an undermanned Duke team, but certainly a very impressive performance by the Rebels.
Yeah, absolutely. What was it like get to know those programs a little bit better in Ole Miss and Duke?
It's amazing to see how teams function. Duke is very lean. Actually gave their kids a lot of flexibility as far as where they eat and things of that nature. And Ole Miss was very structured. I don't think they had a meal that wasn't prepared under the eyes of their nutrition and a lot of people. I think the support staff is drastically higher for Ole Miss as well as it is for all SEC teams. But it's a different way to manage and certainly different strokes for different folks. But Ole Miss certainly came well prepared as far as from a personnel standpoint. And Duke to a certain degree, but not the level of Ole Miss.
Will it still be SEC versus ACC next year?
Yes, that is correct. Yep, we have one more year under the agreements, and then it'll be the last year as it is with the CFP under the existing agreement. So we'll be entering into new conversations here once the college football playoff decides whether they're going to 12 teams, staying at 12, or going to 14, or going to 16. So sometime within the next 6 months, we'll know a lot more about the future.
What are you hearing on that? We were joined by Dennis Dodd last week, and he said that he was adamant that it's going to be 14. What are you hearing the same things, or where do you expect it to go?
I really the only info I have is they're going to wait and see how this plays out. How were the 4 games that were on campuses? How were they received? What were the logistical challenges? did the game sell out? And look at some metrics there, because if you go to 14 teams, obviously that's one more home game that you'd have to play. And if they go to 16, you've got 8 first-round games at different sites on campus theoretically. But, I think they're going to wait and see how this 12-team setup plays and for 1 year. And, it may just be a hard decision to expand to 14 or 16 until they have a complete set of data to look at from a financial standpoint.
How do you think it's gone?
I think it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think there were challenges. The teams that lost in the second weekend of the college football playoff all had a bye.
Right.
So I think there's something to say about continuity and that big of a break, especially when you're looking at playing maybe 4 extra games, which is where Penn State is going to be as well as Notre Dame to win it all.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And looking at that game, do you have an insight on what kind of matchup we'll have there in the national title game?
I think it's just going to come down to who makes the big plays and who makes fewer mistakes. As those games usually turn out, if you have a chance for a pick, you better make it. If you've got a chance to kick a field goal, you better make sure you execute. You can't drop passes. And I think that's what probably Notre Dame is going to be a little behind as far as just depth of team and the amount of talent. I mean, you've got Ohio State, which I think they acknowledge that's a $22 million payroll. Right. I'm not sure Notre Dame's at that level, but once you start talking about payrolls at that level, then let's go ahead and just say it's a level of professional sports that, I think Ohio State's getting a return on their investment.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I will say I've been really kind of charmed by the Notre Dame story. I'm not a fan of Notre Dame. In most of my life, I pulled against them, but Marcus Freeman has really done an outstanding job. What's been your impressions of watching the Fighting Irish?
Hey, when they were here 2 years ago against South Carolina, I thought at that time they were the most organized team, staff. I mean, they were all buttoned up. I mean, Coach Freeman was extremely hospitable, very gracious. I have so much respect for that program after seeing him up close and personal, and I'm very happy for him. They take no shortcuts, but they were so nice. They were so hospitable. They did everything we asked them to do. It wasn't a burden, and I think he just, his kids are first class. They conduct themselves the right way, and the way Marcus Freeman conducts himself is certainly a model for others to follow.
Absolutely. Greg McGarity, kind enough to join us, the Gator Bowl executive director. Greg, obviously, you tons of experience working at Florida, working at Georgia as an athletic director with the Bulldogs. Do you buy into this storyline that the SEC is fallen off at all with not having a representative in the national title game for now a consecutive season?
I don't think so, Hays. I mean, I think there's a level of fatigue in the SEC a little bit because you have so many impactful games week after week after week. And, I mean, I was even tired of it just as a spectator from watching it because you have so many games that are so impactful. And when you have that time after time, it's kind of like the NFL. Every game is so dadgum competitive. And in, the Big Ten, probably not as competitive. Notre Dame had some less competitive games. And I think the amount of emphasis that's placed on winning in the SEC week after week after week takes its toll in the long run with injuries and just probably a little fatigue.
You're so connected to so many athletic directors. Greg, what do you think? Are there some things on the horizon, whether it's NIL, portal, revenue sharing, things that are going to continue to greatly shape the sport of college football?
Yeah, I think so much, as we say, the paste is out of the tube, Hays, on so many things. I think the most concerning thing is the financial model sustainable? With the new House decision that's come in as far as schools having to dedicate now a certain percentage of their football revenue to not only football players but other athletes. And then, you get into the Title IX discussion as far as treatment of women, equality there. I think the uncertainty there and the financial, really just the runaway dollars and coaching salaries. I mean, seeing what reportedly some person like Carson Beck getting $4 million 1 year at Miami. I mean, who would have thought that would be in play five years ago? And now we have certainly a model that is a professional model. And, you know, I really don't think they're student athletes anymore. I think that's kind of a misnomer. These are paid professional athletes that certainly are moving. It's like free agency. There's tampering. You hear that from a lot of coaches that have their programs that are affected by tampering, and you know there are no safeguards in play. And I think you've just got a wild, wild west right now that is going to continue to be the wild, wild west until there's some level of certainty. And I'm not really sure when that's going to happen.
Yeah, that's a great point on Carson Beck, because I mean it's in a sense like it's good for college football if athletes that are super talented are staying longer in college for the college football fan to enjoy, because the money, to your point, that he's getting, well, I mean, it makes no sense to go into the NFL, particularly with an injury, and risk, you know, being drafted in the 3rd or 4th round. If you can make that kind of money playing 1 year of college football, so it's definitely pro sports. But I guess if there's a silver lining, at least some of the stars are going to be in the sport longer.
Yeah, I think probably Carson looked at what Brock Purdy's making his first 2 or 3 years in the NFL. I mean, I'm not sure Purdy will make, 1.5 in 3 years.
Right.
And so I think that comes into play. There's so many warts and there's so many scabs and there's just so many things that go on into making the product. But, the viewership is just off the chart. As far as the product, the end result, the product on the field, it's a messy, messy process. I don't think really people enjoy it as much as they used to. But when you get to game day, people are still packing the stadiums. The TV ratings are outstanding. It's just that I think at some point in time, is it going to be sustainable, and is it something that people will want to continue to support if they're being asked to give to collectives, or do they give to the overall athletic program? There are just so many distractions there that may hamper the game somewhat. But needless to say, college football is in pretty good shape on game day right now. It's just getting there is concerning.
Absolutely. I do want to ask you one more football thing, and then I want to get to the SEC basketball, because my goodness, what a league that they've got this year. But how does it go in terms of the process of picking when the Gator Bowl will be, the next year's edition of the Gator Bowl? What day, time slot? What's sort of the process of that, Greg?
Well, we all have to wait and see what happens with the NFL.
Okay.
Because so many bowls are played in NFL stadiums. So a lot is going to depend on, will the Jags play here on January 3rd or 4th? Because January 2nd, the date we had this year, is a Friday next year. So we have to wait and see what happens there, and then ESPN will fill the grid in, and they'll make a decision for us. I mean, if the Jags are playing on the 4th, could we play on the 2nd, turn the field around? They may be out of town like they were this year, so it wasn't an issue. But I think what will happen is probably around May is we'll find out the date and the time that we play, and it'll all be predicated on the NFL schedule and where the Jags are playing in 2025. So, I mean, we loved the January 2nd date. The TV ratings were off the chart. Attendance wasn't that great, but certainly ESPN, our title sponsor, TaxSlayer, they were ecstatic with the number of people that were watching the game. And as fate had it, we were right on the heels of the Sugar Bowl. And so that really helped us from that standpoint. And we're just hoping this year we can have an anchor team. By that, I mean a team that can drive here within 6 hours or less, instead of two teams that are, 10 to 12 hours away.
Without a doubt. I do want to get a basketball thought from you. Have you ever seen the SEC even remotely close to the depth of in the elite teams that this conference has produced? And what was that process like when you were the athletic director at Georgia and the SEC sort of, made it an emphasis to say, hey, we want to get better in this sport?
Well, there was an emphasis that Commissioner Sankey placed on that even when I was an AD at Georgia about, why not the SEC? Why couldn't the SEC be better than the ACC? And so I think it all started with hires at the time. Sort of missed the boat there with Tom Crean, but Tom had certainly turned around an Indiana program before, and all of a sudden we get caught up in the transfer portal. And I think you're seeing coaches now that you go across the board, and the list of coaches now is sterling. Mike White's doing a great job at Georgia. I mean, at Florida, you're seeing the success there. I mean, Bruce Pearl, Barnes at Tennessee, and Pope at Kentucky, and even Chris, at Ole Miss, they're having tremendous success, as they are at Mississippi State. So I think the commitment that is made, I think the NIL commitment is paying huge dividends as well. So I just think you're seeing people that want to come and play in great venues, and I think football kind of ignites that because all these kids are making official visits in the fall, and they see the level of excitement at SEC football, and I think it just translates into just general excitement on campus.
Absolutely. Greg McGarity, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure, and once again, congratulations on a fantastic Gator Bowl, and we can't wait to have you back in here next year when you bring in your board. We always love that. But, Greg, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Y'all take care. Have a good day.
All right. Thanks so much. Greg McGarity, Executive Director of the Gator Bowl. When we come back on the Frangie Show, we're going to get it to a little Gator hoops as they get ready for a big game tonight at home against Missouri. You're listening to the Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show. From the Harrell and Harrell studio, don't settle for less than you deserve.
This is Brent Musburger's Visa and proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is the overwhelming betting favorite to win the regular season MVP award. The Thunder with the best record in the Western Conference. He is at minus 170. Denver's Nikola Jokic plus 150 as he tries to go for MVP number 4. Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks plus 2,200. Jason Tatum of the Boston Celtics plus 4,000. The Celtics are still the betting favorite to win the NBA championship. Boston at plus 200, while Oklahoma City is at plus 265. The Cleveland Cavaliers, who have the best record in the Eastern Conference, are plus 850. The New York Knicks plus 1,200. The Dallas Mavericks and the Denver Nuggets both at plus 1,700. Earn cash back on your gaming transactions with the GBank Signature Visa Card at vsin.com/GBank. I'm Tony Desiri with your Visa in Action update on 1010XL.
Aunt Linda clogged the guest bathroom. Your nephew thought the AC was a snow machine. And let's not even talk about the kitchen sink after that turkey grease incident. Ooh.
Congratulations, your family finally left. But the mess stayed behind.
Don't worry. Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning can fix it all. From backed up pipes to overworked AC units, we've got you covered.
Start the new year fresh because your house deserves it.
Call Duck Rooter today at 904-862-6769. When you're stuck, call the Duck. Right now, get $50 off any service of $150 or more.
I'm Renee Harrell. At Harrell & Harrell, we understand when you've been in an accident, there's a lot to handle. You've lost pay, and now the medical bills are piling up. When there isn't much insurance, some attorneys will pay your bills, take their fee, leaving you with even less than them. Not at Harrell & Harrell. We'll work hard to reduce your medical bills, and we promise our fee will never be more than you take home. Call us today, 904-251-1111. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Offices, Jacksonville.
Happy New Year from everyone at Nimnick Chevrolet. Frank Frangie here. As we kick off 2025, there's no better time to find your next vehicle. Start the year strong with the best selection, unbeatable prices, and a team that's here to help you every step of the way. Because when it comes to putting you first, there's nobody but Nimnick. Remember, Nimnick Chevrolet is your Silverado headquarters. With the largest inventory on the ground, your perfect truck is waiting for you at Nimnick. Visit the showroom on Cassett Avenue or head to nimnickchevy.com. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Pickett here for Bout 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bowden Eye. Visit Bowden Eye & Associates today and experience the difference. Bowden Eye & Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
Open enrollment is here, so it's time to secure health coverage for your family. Whether you need Affordable Care Act plans, dental, or Medicare, contact Florida First Insurance Group on University Boulevard, an award-winning Florida Blue agency well known for providing superior service. Theo Mitchelson and his team at Florida First make the process easy and stress-free with medical and dental insurance you can count on. Plus, listen to this. Based on eligibility, many people pay absolutely nothing for coverage. Contact Theo Mitchelson and the Florida First Insurance Group today and let your health be their priority. And a reminder for Florida Blue members, visit Sanitas Medical Center with 3 locations in town offering primary care, walk-in services, and on-site pharmacy and mental health support. SANITAS Medical Center, Florida First Insurance Group, and Sanitas Medical Center, a winning team in Northeast Florida.
The Jacksonville Boat Show is at Prime Osborne January 24th to 26th. For your chance to win tickets, text BOAT to the text line covered by Lifetime Flooring at 641-1010. 641-1010.
Transmission troubles? I'm Robin Sidbury, owner of Action Transmission Specialist on Merrill Road. So come in and see how we can help solve your transmission troubles. We service all makes and models. Remember, get traction. Call Action at 744-0755.
Hey, poker fans! The Best Bet Winter Open Series returns to Best Bet Jacksonville from January 23rd to February 2nd. Satellites into the $1,500 main event kick off January 4th. Take your shot at big payouts with 8 action-packed events and $500,000 in guarantees. Visit bestbetjacks.com for more details. That's bestbetjacks.com. And we'll see you at the Winter Open starting January 23rd.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold, silver, and diamonds from the public. Gold has recently hit an all-time high at over $2,600 per ounce. Pay bills. Buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar, or trade it in for a new piece and get even more at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Hey, it's Matt Hays, and we're now in the 3rd week of the new year. Have you lost 18 pounds yet? Well, you probably didn't choose Awaken 180 weight loss. I lost 18 pounds in my first 3 weeks alone. Switch it up and get your results at awaken180weightloss.com.
Homeowners, listen up. It's time to start fresh in 2025. Prosser here, and Loan Pronto is here to help take control of your finances in 2025 by lowering your house payments and consolidating that nagging debt. Did you know that 9 out of 10 borrowers get a better deal by calling Loan Pronto? Right now, Loan Pronto has some of the most competitive offers for refis, debt consolidation, and purchase loans, starting in the low 5s APR. If your current rate is over 6%, don't settle for paying too much. Even if you're in process with another lender, call Loan Pronto now. Lock in at a lower rate today and close in as little as 2 weeks, often with no appraisal. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. It's fast, easy, and hassle-free. Get your personalized Loan Pronto rate quote instantly with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees. Call now, 904-999-1508, or go to loanpronto.com. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLS, consumeraccess.org.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
All right, a fun show today. Chris Harry joined us to talk Florida basketball. They've got a big game tonight at 9 o'clock against Missouri. John Osher joined us. He likes Aaron Glenn, which is interesting. That was a fun conversation. And Greg McGarity joined us, executive director of the Gator Bowl. It will be an SEC versus ACC matchup again next year, and then everything gets kind of thrown up into the air as the playoff evolves or doesn't evolve after the 25 season. So It's been a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to this Florida basketball game tonight. Again, the number that I always look for with this Florida team is rebounding. Florida is plus 12.7 rebounding margin. Missouri plus 2.3. So again, Florida should control the glass, but Missouri is hot shooting. They shoot it at a 49.7% clip from the floor. So an outstanding offensive team. So if Missouri gets hot, this will be a challenge for the Florida defense, but should be a good game tonight. I would expect Florida to get the win. And with that being said, let's bring in Rick Ballou.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Service by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. Find the coolest cats in town at coolcatsjacks.com.
It's good to see you. How you doing?
Man, I'm great. No place I'd rather be, right here.
Yeah, did you see Dan Graziano's predictions of who's going to fill every job on ESPN? He had Joe Brady coming here.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
He's been like the most silent of them all.
Yeah, it really has.
Todd Monken a little bit. But,
yeah. The thing that stood out to me about that was he has Ben Johnson going to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know how you could possibly defend that if you're the Jaguars to let the Raiders, who don't have a semblance of a team, certainly don't have. Yeah, right.
Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, if Ben Johnson stays in Detroit, then fine. I still think it's disappointing. But if you end up hiring Joe Brady or Liam Cohen and the Raiders get Ben Johnson?
Oh, it's going to be a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
I think there's a real good chance Ben Johnson does stay. I mean, there's been so many rumors the last couple of weeks, but I had heard that the job he really coveted was New England. And, of course, they were dead set on Mike Vrabel to begin with. But, this is going to be interesting. It's a long, drawn-out process. We know that today the fifth interview did happen with Robert Saleh, who a lot of people believe is in play. And I think you told me yesterday that you think right now your gut says Saleh?
Because I think the search is going to derail. And I think if the search derails and it's Robert Saleh, I actually think there's a lot of really good qualities about him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, to me, if you're the Jaguars, you've got Trevor Lawrence, you've got what should be a pretty competitive team. And to let somebody else hire Ben Johnson because ownership was so steadfast in their belief of Trent Baalke staying as GM, it's just a massive folly.
Yeah, you can't.
I mean, just a complete whiff.
You can't find any beat writer who covers any team, anyone that has any knowledge of what's really going on, and have them say the Raiders is a better job than the Jaguars.
Right.
It's not even close, okay? You got a beautiful brand new stadium. I'll give you that. But come on. You've got a quarterback here. You need to have the confidence that you can come in and fix this quarterback and take him to the elite level. But there's no question about it. I mean, this is the best job because you do have a quarterback. And, we'll see. And that's actually what I'm going to talk about coming up is that we all have candidates. We all know who we want Jacksonville to hire as a coach. But what do you want in a coach? What do you look for, right? And I don't think that gets discussed enough. I think it's so much about the name. It's not what they actually do and what you want to see in a coach. And let's face it, that whole world has totally changed. I mean, the aggressive, being a disciplinarian, the old school, that's gone. I mean, you've got to be buddies with these guys now. And I think it's a very difficult deal to be a head coach in the National Football League. But that's what we're going to begin with tonight. Looking forward to doing that.
That'll be great. We'll be listening.
Good seeing you.
Into the night with Rick Ballou coming up next. That is going to do it for us. Again, hopefully Frank Frangie will be back with us tomorrow. Hopefully he gets to feeling better. Appreciate Chris Harry, John Osher, and Greg McGarity joining us. For JJ LaSelva, I am Hays Carlyon. Into the night with Rick Ballou. Ballou is up next on 1010XL 92.5 FM.